Everybody, we are going to be discussing Candida tonight, and we're going to talk about the Candida symptoms. We're going to be going over the treatment tonight, exactly how we treat it ourselves, exactly how I teach my patients to eradicate their Candida. We're going to get started right here at 7 o'clock, so I'm going to give people about one more minute to jump on board, but I want you to start to think about what questions you may have for myself when it comes to Candida. So we're going to go ahead and even start a little Instagram live video as well. So we're going to say hello to everybody on Instagram. We're going to be talking to Instagram tonight. We're going to be talking to YouTube tonight. So we've got two live channels going on right now. So I may be looking back and forth at the screen. So if I am, I'm not ignoring you. I'm just making sure that we're covering all of our bases. So I am Dr. Corey King. I am board certified in integrative medicine. My passion is helping patients heal faster and with less heartache. And tonight, I'm going to be sharing with you one of the most common infections I find in patients besides parasites, because parasitic infections, they are one of the number one infections that I tend to find in my patients. But the second most common infection is a Candida infection. So for those who have been diagnosed with a thyroid gland disorder or any type of gastrointestinal dysfunction, testing yourself for Candida is going to be very, very important, because the symptoms of a candidal infection are very, very similar to the symptoms of low thyroid. So let's just list off the symptoms for you. So chronic fatigue, brain fog, gastrointestinal disorders, sleep disturbances, muscle and joint pain, moodiness. I mean, all of those symptoms sound identical to a thyroid patient. So a lot of thyroid patients contact me and they say, hey, Dr. King, I'm treating my thyroid, or so-and-so's treating my thyroid. My numbers look really good. My thyroid is functioning very, very well, but I'm still having thyroid type symptoms. And then that is when I get very suspicious of a Candida infection. So here are my thoughts on Candida, because I think all of us probably have some form of Candida in our system. So if you've ever been an athlete, as endurance athletes, we are taught to carb load. And what does carb load mean? That means we want to eat a lot of carbohydrates before, say, a race weekend. So that way we have enough energy stored away that we can then use during our event. So what happens if you're eating all these carbohydrates, but you're not burning them off? What do? Well, those carbs are going to turn to sugars, and sugar feeds Candida overgrowth. So just today, I was reviewing some Candida results with a patient. And she said, Dr. King, when I was a child, I was put on antibiotic after antibiotic after antibiotic. And she said that she's never fully felt that she had great energy growing up, even as a child. So I said, okay, well, you had these antibiotics. They started to kill off the good gut flora, which makes this environment where Candida likes to come and take hold. But then I said, were you ever imperfect on your eating? Did you ever eat lots of sugars and eat lots of carbohydrates? And she goes, well, of course. And I said, of course. We all have at some point in our lives. So we've all gorged out on carbs and breads and pastas and the sweets. Those sugars are going to feed the Candida. So Candida is a fungal infection. And this is what's really important to understand. This fungal infection releases a neurotoxin, and that neurotoxin is called acetaldehyde. So it's very similar to when you get drunk. It's a very similar experience. That acetaldehyde will affect the brain the same way that alcohol affects the brain. So I've actually had patients tell me, Dr. King, I feel as if I am drunk, but I don't drink alcohol. Why is that happening? Well, when the fungus is releasing that acetaldehyde, that is a neurotoxin. What does neurotoxin mean? It means it destroys your neurons and it destroys your nerves. So when your body's neurons are being destroyed and there's inflammation in the brain due to neurons dying off, you perceive that as brain fog. Okay, so if you ever have brain fog from now on, you're going to think, holy crap, I'm destroying neurons. So the neurotoxin acetaldehyde does that when you have fungus, this Candida overgrowth. So a lot of patients get scared or they get worried about doing a Candida protocol because they've heard that the die-off can be really, really gnarly. It can be really strong and you can feel really crummy. I'm going to teach you tonight exactly how to avoid feeling super crummy. You may still feel tired. You may still get a little bit of a headache, but I'm going to share with you our experiences when we were killing off Candida. I teach you exactly tonight what we have done to get rid of Candida in ourselves, and I'll teach you what we do to get rid of it in our patients. So we've gone through that laundry list of symptoms: chronic fatigue, brain fog, digestive disorders, muscle and joint pains. It can disturb your sleep. It can cause yeast overgrowth in females and in males. And if you're a male and you're watching this, you may be thinking, how in the world does a male get a yeast infection? Well, it can actually pop up, pun intended, around the base of the penis. It almost looks like a herpes virus, but it is actually a Candida overgrowth. So both males and females can get this. Sinus infections and recurring sinus infections, even when your doctors give you antibiotics or they give you the Flonase and they give you all the different sprays, recurring sinus infections needs to be a clue that there may be some Candida, because I see a lot of sinus infections in our patients that are struggling with Candida. So we've gone through those symptoms. So let's say you're a thyroid patient and those symptoms sound very similar, but let's say your thyroid is under control and you keep going back to your endocrinologist or your primary care physician or your integrative doctor, and you're telling them like, look, I'm still having fatigue. I'm still not thinking clearly. What is going on? And they go, well, gosh, your lab tests look normal. A lot of patients share these stories with me. That is when you need to start to think about testing for Candida. So how do you test for Candida? I like the company called Great Plains Laboratories. There is a test called the organic acids test, and we're going to refer to it as the OATS test for short. Everything I'm talking about tonight, I will put a link in the description once we end our live webinar. So if you're taking notes, fantastic. I encourage you to. But if you're not, I'm going to put the Cliff Notes version in the description below. Great Plains Laboratory runs this test called the organic acids test. It is a really flipping cool test. I'm going to tell you everything that it does. It's $249 my price, meaning that's what the doctor's price is. If you try to pay retail for it, typically you're going to pay about $100 more. So go through a doctor to order the test, because most doctors are not going to increase the prices on the test. Hopefully they don't. So it's $249 for the organic acids test. It's a urine test. What it's going to do is it's going to test your Candida levels. You're also going to get good bacteria levels and bad bacteria levels, because you need to know, has that Candida wiped out a lot of your good gut flora, because you're going to have to re-inoculate with the good bacterium if it has. The other things that it tests for, which are really, really cool. This is why I like the test. Candida, just think of it as a toxin. These toxins like to affect what are called your mitochondria. Your mitochondria are like the batteries in your car. They help to produce your energy. Okay. Your mitochondria are very susceptible to accumulating toxins. So in the OATS test, we're going to measure your mitochondria. We're going to see how well your mitochondria is doing. And not only that, we're going to look at glutathione and what is called N-acetylcysteine. That is the precursor to glutathione. So your body makes N-acetylcysteine and it makes glutathione, but you need a certain amount of N-acetylcysteine for glutathione production to be sufficient. And N-acetylcysteine is a chelating agent. It helps to bind even heavy metals and toxins. Glutathione helps to bind toxins. Glutathione is fantastic at getting rid of toxins out of the mitochondria. So remember, your mitochondria are your batteries. They produce your energy. So if you have this fungal infection and it's starting to affect your mitochondria, but your doctor's working on your thyroid, your energy is always going to be down. Okay. So if you're jumping on Instagram, we're filming on Instagram and we're filming on YouTube. So that's why I'm kind of looking at two different screens here. So people ask sometimes when we get done. So your mitochondria produce the energy. So we're going to measure that. We're going to measure glutathione. We're going to measure N-acetylcysteine, but we're also going to get your B vitamins, because what do a lot of Candida patients suffer from? Fatigue, chronic fatigue. They just don't have the stamina anymore. So today, when I was speaking to a patient reviewing her results, she is a chef. She's a professional chef. She also caters. And she said that she used to be able to cook for 10 hours. Like, I mean, no problem. She's like a rock star. She said now it's about 5 hours and she is wiped. She's pooped. And her mitochondria levels did not look good. And when I started explaining this to her, she goes, oh my gosh, this is the reason that I cannot cook like I used to. And so I dug a little deeper, and she's like, time-wise, like she used to be able to cook 10 hours, no problem. So we're going to look at the mitochondria. We're going to look at your B vitamins. So a lot of her B vitamins were really, really low. So if your B vitamins are low, as we're killing off the Candida, you can actually use a B complex to help your energy, especially during the die-off of the Candida, because we're going to get into that here in a moment. Okay. It also measures biotin. So thyroid patients, hair, skin, and nail issues, right? Biotin levels, if they are low, boom, start taking some more biotin. It's going to measure vitamin C levels, CoQ10 levels. We're going to get fatty acid levels, meaning how well is your body breaking down fatty acids? Is your body digesting very well? We're going to see all of this in the test. So besides checking for Candida, we're going to get a lot more pieces to the puzzle that may explain why you're still having your symptoms. So this is why I love that organic acids test. It's a urine test. You do it at home. You send the test kit back to the lab. Results take about 5 to 10 business days. Okay, so that is how we test for it. Now let's talk about treatment. This is where, if you jump online, you can read horror stories about trying to get rid of Candida. And a lot of those horror stories, let's just talk about it. Let's go back to the acetaldehyde. Remember, that is a neurotoxin. That is what the fungus produces just naturally on its own. This is why people feel so crummy with Candida. This is why you can have muscle aches and joint pains and nerve issues. You can actually get things like, or develop peripheral neuropathy, which is very similar to diabetics. You know, diabetics develop peripheral neuropathy. So you could be having tingling and numbness even due to fungal overgrowth, candidal infections. If you've ever looked at the elderly's toenails, it may sound pretty gross, but if you ever look at the elderly's toenails and they look very discolored and they tell you, oh, I have fungus. Well, if they have fungus in their toenails or in their fingernails, guess where else they have it? You know, they have it systemically throughout the body. So we need to kill that off. Okay. If you're a female and you have recurring yeast infections, that is systemic. It is inside of your body. We need to kill that off. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to the website called the ultimatecandidadiet.com. I'll put a link in the description below. I am not affiliated with these people at all, even though I should, because I recommend them to my patients. I should be getting paid for marketing for them. I just think they have some great information that you can download. $37. Do it. We did it when we first found Candida in our bodies because we wanted some recipes, and they have specific recipes for you when you're going through a Candida treatment protocol. So we bought it for the recipes, but I think the educational material that they provide to you is just, it's great. It is fantastic. Where I'm going to differ a little bit is going to be in the treatment. They teach you a 4-phase protocol, and they don't start to introduce antifungals until the 4th phase. I don't like that. I like to add those antifungals in that 2nd week. I like to start killing off the fungus sooner than later. So I'm going to walk you through the 4 phases. Now, if you're taking notes, this is going to be phase 1. Phase 1 may be the hardest thing for some of you. Essentially, you are going to be eating vegan for 7 days. So you're going to be pulling off of nuts. You're going to be pulling off of meats. There's no dairy. Okay, we're cutting the dairy out. It is essentially vegetables and bone broth. Now, the Ultimate Candida Diet, there's a big 300-page document. It's going to give you some charts of some low-starch veggies. Listen to the foods that they teach you to consume and eat going through the 4 phases, because I completely agree with them. It's the same thing everywhere else. And anywhere you look for Candida protocol, they're going to talk about staying away from these foods, eating these foods. So we're staying away from the carbohydrates. We're staying away from the sugars. That is what feeds Candida. So we've got to starve it off. So this first week, we're basically just starving off that Candida. Okay, that's how you need to think about it. You don't want any of those foods coming in. You want low-starch veggies. You may be asking, what are low-starch veggies? I want to say it's on page 98 or page 100. I think it's one of those two. It's around that. It's going to give you the chart of all the veggies you can eat. This is what I did. I took a picture of it, and I took that picture with me to the grocery store. And I said, okay, what vegetables can I buy? And that is how I shopped for the first 7 days. Big, very important, I should say. bone broth during this phase to give you some protein. Now, do I have a favorite? Yes, I'll tell you what we used. We used Kettle and Fire. We just ordered it directly from their website. The more that you order, the better price you get. I did their auto ship and I forgot about it. And we got a new delivery the other day and we went, oh, we didn't need a lot more bone broth. So if you do the auto delivery, make sure to stop it. But you do get a great rate. If I think it's 18 of these little containers, I think it's like $5 a piece or something. Okay. Much less expensive than what you're going to pay at a Whole Foods or a Sprouts for some bone broth. Those first 7 days, it's veggies. Now you're also going to be drinking like a detoxifier type drink. I modify this a little bit. I don't let my patients consume cayenne because that is a nightshade. And a lot of my patients are very, very sensitive in the stomach area because they're chronically sick. So we remove the nightshades. It's essentially water, lemon, and apple cider vinegar. How I did it is I made a big pitcher of it first thing in the morning, and I just made sure I drank that pitcher every single day. I like the detoxifier drink because it helps to keep you hydrated. One thing that people may run into is they may run into some dehydration issues, which can lead to some constipation issues. So make sure as you're killing off this fungus that you're not becoming constipated. How do you do that? Bare minimum, half of your body weight in ounces per day of water. Now, you're trying to kill off a fungus. You're trying to detoxify your body. I highly recommend a lot more water than that. So just plenty of water, plenty of water, plenty of water. Now, this is where we're going to get into what do you do with die-off? Because even in the first 7 days, this happened to Natasha, my better half, the first 7 days, you can start to feel really, really crummy. You can feel run down. So for Natasha, she was actually in bed. It was like she was fighting the flu. And if I remember correctly, she had a gnarly headache, just bad headache that just wouldn't go away. This is what we started to add in. And now you're going to read about some of these things if you download the Ultimate Candida Diet. But I'm going to tell you exactly what to use because they give you a laundry list of items. This is what you should use, what we think works the best and what worked for us and what works best for my patients. So the first thing is molybdenum. Molybdenum is a product that will take the neurotoxin acetaldehyde and it will convert it. So it's going to take something that's toxic to our nervous system and it is going to convert it into something that helps for us produce energy, which to me, that's really, really amazing to think about, that something that can take a neurotoxin that's destroying nerves and destroying neurons, it can actually take that neurotoxin and convert it into energy for us. The molybdenum is what really helped Natasha when it came to the headache and just getting rid of that flu feeling. I'll put a link below where we ordered ours. Just ordered it right on Amazon, Douglas Laboratories. We ordered the 500 microgram dosages. Now, actually, they're in the cupboard. I should have put them back here, but she was only taking one. For me, my die-off first thing in the morning, I was getting really bad joint pains. My fingers were just really, really killing me. I took 2 of those. So the molybdenum, and I'm going to talk about what's called trisomal glutathione. Those 2, you can play with the dosages to help offset any die-off effects, okay? So molybdenum, extremely important. Let's talk about milk thistle. Milk thistle is fantastic at helping to detoxify your liver. So your liver's job is to cleanse you of toxins. Well, if you're killing off toxins, they're still going to get filtered through the body, through the blood, through the liver. So we don't want them getting clogged up in the liver. We want your liver just being able to get inflammation down, get rid of toxins properly. So milk thistle is fantastic at helping to do that. I recommend taking 2 of those per night. I'll put a link to the exact ones that we ordered. Again, we just ordered them right from Amazon. 2 of them right before we'd go to bed. We would use 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C, and it can be in an inexpensive vitamin C. It does not need to be a liposomal vitamin C. You're going to pay about 3 times the price for those. Just an ascorbic acid, 1,000 milligrams. Just make sure it's from a good reputable company and it doesn't have any bad binders or fillers in there, which are things like silicone dioxide, magnesium stearate. If it says vegetable magnesium stearate, you can let that slide. You don't want any artificial colors. You don't want any corn oil, soybean, any of that, those bad binders or fillers. So just basic ascorbic acid. I mean, I always looking at Amazon today, trying to send a link to somebody, and I think I sent her the brand called Now, NOW. A lot of you know about that company, and you can get them from most of the main stores. So just an inexpensive vitamin C, 1,000 milligrams per day. You're going to be taking that. It helps with the die-off. It helps with inflammation. So the next thing that you're going to really focus on is called trisomal glutathione. La-da! So this is the liquid. You keep it in the refrigerator once you open it. To me, this tastes like dessert. I love the way it tastes. It comes with a syringe because you're only going to be taking a few milliliters of this. So this is where everybody's a little different as well. Natasha, at 1 milliliter, this was giving her or causing her a lot of nausea. She couldn't handle 1 milliliter, so we had to back her down to half a milliliter. This is how strong this is. So this has both a reduced form and a liposomal form of glutathione. So it passes the stomach. It doesn't get destroyed at the stomach. A lot of glutathione that people take orally doesn't even get to where it needs to go. It gets destroyed before it gets to the right places. And it has N-acetylcysteine. Remember, the oats test, we're testing for glutathione and we're testing for N-acetylcysteine. So if those levels are low, boom, we use that. Now, I love the glutathione because it helps to cleanse the mitochondria. So if we see that your mitochondrial levels are not doing well and your energy is down, we're going to use that glutathione. I recommend starting at 2 milliliters. If you have some nausea, you have some headaches, you can back it down like we did for Natasha. Now, for myself, I was able to go to 10 milliliters. I actually went to 14 milliliters and I never had any negative side effects. So everybody's different. The molybdenum and the trisomal glutathione, you can play with those dosages. So if you're having more die-off, if you're feeling more tired and you're having headaches or you're having joint pains like I was having, play with slowly increasing the dosages. I recommend only increasing the dosage of one product at a time. So if you increase the molybdenum to say 2 of them 500 microgram dosages, and then your symptoms dissipate, then you know that it was the molybdenum that helped you. If you increase it to 500 and you're still kind of going, I don't really know, and you took 2 500, then you can increase your trisomal glutathione. And if you notice the symptoms start to die down, then you go, oh, the trisomal glutathione really helped me. But both of them are going to play a big role in this whole Candida detox. You can use things like bentonite clay and activated charcoal. A lot of patients ask me about that. The reason I don't use them for the Candida, I mean, they are fantastic. They are great. Don't get me wrong. But they just will not do what molybdenum does with that neurotoxin. So again, I'll use something, I'll try to get the most bang for the buck. If we can take the molybdenum and convert that acetaldehyde into an energy producing substance, we'll just call it that. But bentonite clay and activated charcoal won't do that. I'm going to use the molybdenum. Okay, so molybdenum, 1,000 so 500 micrograms you can start with, 1,000 milligrams of vitamin C a day. We're going to add in the milk thistle, 2 capsules a day. I'll put the link below in the ones that we use. And the trisomal glutathione. I recommend starting at 2 milliliters, slowly increasing 2 milliliters at a time. Okay, that's your first week. So you're following along with the eating. You're getting rid of all the carbs. You're getting rid of all the sugars. Now you're into your second week. This is where I'm going to introduce a product called GI Synergy. So I love this product. In the Candida or the Ultimate Candida Diet program that you download, they give you a lot of antifungals, just a lot of recommendations. Here's the cool part. So in each container, there are 3 pills in a packet. So there's all these little packets. 1 pill is antibacterial, 1 pill is antiparasitic, and 1 pill is antifungal, anti-yeast. So the anti-yeast or the antifungal pill is called, gosh, that glare is that's tough, but it's called yeastanol, okay? So this yeastanol is one of the pills that's in here, but I layer it with antiparasitic and antibacterial because a lot of times you're going to find parasites with the Candida. So I like to kill off both of them at the same time. A lot of times we find some bacteria in the oats test, so we want to kill off some of the bad bacteria. So we're going to use a product that's going to give you the most bang for your buck. That's why I like this one. How do you take it? 1 packet a day for 3 days. As long as you're doing well, you're feeling well, you're not having major die-off, which remember, play with your molybdenum and your trisomal glutathione to calm that down. I recommend patients to increase 1 packet every 3 days. eventually getting up to 3 packets per day, spreading those out through the day. So 1 packet in the morning, packet at lunch, packet at dinner. If you can handle that many packets, fantastic. Some patients can only handle 1 packet. That's okay. It just means that's all that your body can handle because your body's killing off these toxins and your body's having a hard time eliminating them. So you don't want to take too much of the good stuff, right? Too much of a good thing can be a bad thing. So love the GI Synergy. We're going to add that in the 2nd week. You're going to continue with your molybdenum, your milk thistle, your vitamin C. You're going to still take those things along with the trisomal glutathione, but now you're adding in your antifungal. This is what's going to be killing off the yeast. Now, the cool thing is the antifungal pill called yeastanol that's in each packet, it has 5 different antifungals in it. So the information that you're going to read from the Ultimate Candida Diet, they give you this whole laundry list of all of these different herbs that they recommend that are antifungals. Well, instead of going and buying each one of those, they're already in 1 capsule. So that's why I love this GI Synergy product. Okay, I think it's the best thing on the market for helping to kill this stuff off. It's what we used, and then it's what we recommend patients to use. Okay, week 3. Now this is, let me back up. Got ahead of myself. Week 2 is when you can start to add back in certain foods. So again, follow along with what you're going to read in the Ultimate Candida Diet and just add those foods back in. I don't allow my patients to add any dairy. Okay, that's a whole separate topic, but I don't allow them to add the dairy, so I don't let them do that. I don't let them eat the nightshades either. So we're going to remove those. So if you're just watching us on Instagram, we're live on Instagram and we're live on YouTube. So I'm looking back and forth between the both of you. So don't think I'm ignoring you. So we're going to be using all of that. Now, talked about the product 2nd week. You're going to be adding in those foods. So celebrate, right? You get to add in some new foods. You're not eating vegan anymore. You're adding in some fish and you're going to start to add in some nuts. So just follow along with what you read in the download. Week 3, this is where we're going to start to layer in some probiotics. Now, the probiotic that we take, we even give this to our dogs, is called Strengthia. It's from Apex Energetics as well. I like to cherry pick my companies. It just happens that Apex makes some great products that can help our patients get rid of yeast and fungus, but they're not the only company we use. Again, I'll put the links in the description below for the other products that we ordered on Amazon, right? So some of the stuff you can get really inexpensive. Some of these products, I would never buy these Apex products online because they charge you double to triple the price. So go through your local doctor that carries Apex. If you don't have a local doctor, feel free to contact me. We ship these products out. So the 3rd week, we're going to layer in the probiotics. Again, your oats test. Most people with a chronic candidal infection, they're going to be lacking good bacterium. So we're going to layer in some good bacteria. I recommend doubling the dosage. Okay, again, let's speed this process up. That's why we added the antifungals in earlier, but let's speed up the healing of the gut by doubling up on this stuff. Why not? So I want to be better yesterday, just like you patients. So speed it up. All right, number 4, week number 4, phase number 4, whatever you want to call it. In the download, they call it phase number 4. This is where I'm completely different than what you read. I start to patch up the gut lining. So probiotics, this is how I recommend probiotics. This is how I explain. This is like the paint on the wall. So imagine if I took a hammer to my wall behind me and I punched some big holes in there, and then I just grabbed a paintbrush and a roller and I tried to paint over the wall thinking I'm going to fill in the holes. You know, that's kind of silly. It's just not going to work. So I call this the paint. It's going to paint the bacterium along the gut lining, but it's not going to heal the destruction that the fungus caused, meaning the fungus can actually cause leaky gut. It can eat away at the gastrointestinal lining. That is where we're going to use the spackle. You know, if you're a painter, we're going to use the spackle. This is called Repairvite. It gets in there, repairs the gut lining. So these are the 2 that we use to help heal the gut. Here's our paint. Here's our spackle. All right. We add the spackle, the Repairvite in. We add that in the 4th week. Okay. So that's your 4 phases. Now, do you stop at phase 4? How long do you do this for? To me, it depends upon your candida levels in your test. So let's use Natasha, for example. She loves it when I use her as examples. Her levels were horrible. They were really, really high. So she did her Candida protocol. I think it was almost 8 weeks that she kept going for. Okay, I'm doing the same thing. 8 weeks, what we did. Now, here's the cool part. When you're done with your 4 weeks or your 8 weeks, however long you want to go, you can recheck the Candida levels at a less expensive cost. So the cost is going to be less because you can just run some Candida markers through the same company, Great Plains, and it's called the MOATS test, MOATS. So we can recheck your Candida levels. To me, I think that's wise because if you're going to do all this work and you're going to spend the money on good products and you're going to be really picky on your foods, let's make sure that that Candida infection is completely gone, because if it's not completely gone and you start to add in some sugars or you start to add in some carbs, you're going to feed that fire again. So let's make sure it's completely out of your system. That way, when you start to add some foods in, you're not too concerned about it driving another candidal infection. Okay, so you can go 4 weeks, you can go 8 weeks, completely up to you. Some patients are feeling so good at 4 weeks that they say, hey, doc, I'm just going to go for another few weeks and just see how I feel. That is fine. This is completely up to you. Some patients at 4 weeks go, gosh, this is enough. I want to test. And they can redo the Candida test and see the levels. And if the levels are gone, fantastic. You're done. Now, when you start to add in some foods, you still need to be really judicious with this, because this is how I think about it. Once you have Candida, you're susceptible to getting Candida again, right? So be very, very careful not to just go hog wild on pizza and pasta and sugars and fruit, right? All of that can create another candidal infection. And here you are, Candida free. 6 months down the road, your symptoms are back, right? You did all that work and now it's back. So you're still going to have to be very careful. And to me, this is just, I don't want to use the word common sense, because the standard American diet is just so poor, right? A lot of people are not taught the right way to eat. So if we think low sugar, low carbohydrates, then we're not going to get ourselves into a lot of trouble, right? If you're eating a lot of fruit, right? A lot of people think fruit's great for us, so I'm going to eat a lot of fruit. Well, fruit has fructose, it has sugar, and that sugar can feed your candidal infection. So you've got to be really careful with all of this. Okay, still focus on your low starch veggies, right? You're going to get that. You're going to get that list in the. Sorry, I'm watching our. Looks like we lost our YouTube people, which I don't know what happened, but hey, sorry guys. So you're going to get that list. Just follow that list. Just be very strict. I mean, if you're going to do it, commit to it, and just cross your I's, dot your T's, suck it up. It's not fun, but you can get through it. Okay, so if we have any questions, feel free to post those questions on there. This is going to be recorded. It will be saved onto our YouTube channel. I'm actually posting another video this week of a similar video, but we're going to kind of break it up in pieces so people can watch it, so it's not so long. But that's how we, think about Candida. We think about those symptoms, right? Chronic fatigue, brain fog, joint pain, muscle pain, recurring yeast infections, males and females, sinus infections, okay, oral thrush, so you can get the Candida on the tongue, right? So if you're having those symptoms, but your thyroid's great and your doctors don't know what's going on, say, hey, doc, let's test for some Candida. And the doctor, if they're familiar with Candida, they'll go, oh, that's great. Right? The doctor should have thought about that, not you. But if they're unfamiliar with Candida, then feel free to contact me and we can walk you through it. We can help you get the test. We can go over the results with you. We can even send you the goodies other than what you can get on Amazon. Okay. So 1, think about the symptoms. 2, make sure you're testing for it. 3, make sure you're following a protocol that's going to eradicate it. You're going to have to change your foods. You're going to have to take some natural products, and you're going to have to give it some time, because getting rid of a candidal infection can take time, because some of you have had this for years. So 4 weeks, 8 weeks, 12 weeks, however long it takes, get rid of the infection, because you're going to feel better. Okay. If you have an autoimmune condition, Candida can actually drive your autoimmune condition and make it worse. I mean, so this is why we want to get rid of these infections. Okay, so guys, that's all I have for you tonight on Candida. That's exactly how we treat it in our patients. If I forgot something, I apologize, but we'll put out another video that's going to be a little longer in length, and we give you all the details in that one as well. If you have any questions, feel free to email me, Dr. King, so DRKING, at AskDrKing.com. You can find more information on AskDrKing.com and in some of our social media channels. So if you have some questions, reach out, contact us. I'd be more than happy to answer them for you. And until then, I'll just see you on the next video, and just make your health a priority, work on it, focus on it, have fun with the process, enjoy the process, because sometimes it's a bummer, but just enjoy it, right? Life's about having fun. So have fun with it. And guys, we'll just see you on the next video.